Martha Rogers was born on May 12, 1914 at Dallas, Texas, USA. She was an American nurse, researcher, theorist, and author. While professor of nursing at New York University, Rogers developed the science of unitary human beings, a body of ideas that she described in her book, An Introduction to the Theoretical Basis of Nursing, and died on March 13, 1914 at the age of 80. She published Nursing Science and Art, a perspective in 1998 states that the 21st century will arrive with a plethora of manifestations of change. Rapid acceleration will be evident in every aspect of life. Diversification and synthesis will grow as new worldviews multiply to encompass the extraterrestrial. Nursing's abstract system signifies a new reality as nurses participate in process of change to benefit people. The future demands flexibility, imagination, and a sense of humor. Also on the year 1990, Rogers also published Nursing, Science of Unitary, Irreducible Human Beings Update. It states that Rogers' theory defined nursing as an art and science that is humanistic and humanitarian. It is directed toward the unitary human and is concerned with the nature and direction of human development. The goal of nurses is to participate in process of change. Also, according to Rogers, the science of unitary human beings contains two dimensions: the science of nursing, which is the knowledge specific to the field of nursing that comes from scientific research, and the art of nursing, which involves using the science of nursing creatively to help better the lives of the patient. Lastly, the vision of space based on nursing, Rogers by 1990. Martha Rogers' theory is known as the Science of Unitary Human Beings or SUHB. The theory views nursing as both as a science and an art as it provides a way to view the unitary human being who is integral within the universe. The unitary human being and his or her environment are one. Nursing focuses on people and the manifestation that emerge from the mutual human environmental field process. SUHB contains two dimensions: the science of nursing, which is the knowledge specific to the field of nursing that comes from scientific research, and the art of nursing, which involves using the science of nursing creatively to help better the lives of the patient. Her model addresses the importance of the environment as an integral part of the patient and uses the knowledge to help nurses blend the science and art of the nursing to ensure patients have a smooth recovery and get back to the best health possible. Rogers' development of the said theory has become an influential nursing theory in the United States. It was considered profound and was too ambitious when first introduced, but now it is thought to be ahead in its time. Her conceptual framework has greatly influenced nursing by offering an alternative to traditional nursing approaches.
K. Conceptual terms. What does Martha mean by energy field? The energy field is the fundamental unit of both the living and the non-living. It provides a way to view people and the environment as irreducible wholes. The energy fields continuously vary in intensity, density, and extent. Second, what does Martha mean by patterns? Rogers defined the pattern as the distinguishing characteristic of an energy field seen as a single wave. It is an abstraction and gives identity to the field. It also represents the person's whole existence. They are intangible, non-visible manifestation but perceptually present in all interactions. Overview of Rogerian model. First, Rogers' conceptual system provides a body of knowledge in nursing. Second, Rogers' model provides the way of viewing the unitary human being. Third, humans are viewed as integral with the universe. Fourth, the unitary human being and the environment are one, not dichotomous. Fifth, Nursing focuses on people and the manifestation that emerge from the mutual human or environmental field process. 6. Change of pattern and organization of the human field and the environmental field is propagated by waves. 7. The manifestations of the field patterning that emerge are observable events. 8. The identification of the pattern provide knowledge and understanding of human experience. 9. Basic characteristics which describe the life process of human, energy field, openness, pattern, and pan-dimensionality. Last, basic concepts include unitary human being, environment, and homodynamic principles.
Concepts of Rogers' model. Rogers' model is based on her assumptions about the person in this interaction with environment. The energy fields, openness, pattern, and pandimensionality are used as building blocks to develop her model. According to Rogers, energy field is an inevitable part of life, and two fields are identified, namely human field and environmental field. In this concept, human and environment both have energy field, which considered open, meaning energy can freely flow between human and environment. It means human can impact environment and vice versa. The second building block is openness, which highlighted that there is no boundary or barrier that can inhibit the flow of energy between human and environment. Kaya naman continuous lang yung movement of matter of energy. Pattern is defined as the distinguishing characteristic of energy field perceived as a single waves. It is an abstraction that simply serves to give identity to the field. Lastly is the pandimensionality. Pandimensionality is defined as a non-linear domain without spatial or temporal attributes. Human beings are considered as pandimensional beings and have more than 3 dimensions. So, let us now proceed with Martha Rogers' principle of homeodynamics. But first, let us define what homeodynamic is. So, homeodynamic refers to balance between dynamic life and process and its environment. The principle of homeodynamic postulates the way of perceiving unitary human beings. The fundamental unit of the living system is an energy field. Principle na to ay nakakatulong sa tao to understand life and mechanism affecting life. They also provide knowledge on how to intervene and redirect the clients. So the principle of homeodynamics are classified into 3, namely the resonance, helice, and integrality. First is resonance. It is an ordered arrangement of rhythm characterizing both human field and environmental field that undergoes continuous dynamic metamorphosis in the human environmental process. Ito yung constant change in flow from lower to higher frequency of energy between people and everything around them. The movement of energy can be made by human touch, guided imagery, activities, drawing, storytelling, and other active use of imagination. May incorporate natin siya sa nursing when we do activities, such as art and music to assist a patient who is ill in attempt to help them adjust to change in flow. Furthermore, use of touch, talking, or imagery can enhance the well-being as well. Second is helice. It describes the unpredictable but continuous nonlinear evolution of energy field as evidenced by non-repeating rhythmicity. The principle helice postulate is an ordering of the human evolutionary emergence. So, any small change in any of the environmental field causes a ripple effect, which creates a larger changes in other field. It basically continuous evolution or change that result from the interaction of human and environmental field. Dahil nga continuous ang change, nagkakaroon ng impact o pagbabago doon sa system. Putting it into practice as a nurse, even the smallest of our action can make a difference, including the simplest things, such as spending time with our patient and the way we speak to them. Third is integrality. it is the mutual continuous relationship of the human energy field and environmental field. So it is divided into two, which is the synchrony and reciprocity. Synchrony refers to continuous change that happens simultaneously between person and environment, while the reciprocity refers to continuous interaction between person and environment. So basically, yung integrality, it means that human environmental energy are mutually and continuously changing. It means we affect our environment and their environment affect us. Putting it into practice, as a nurse, we share a connectedness with our patient and we have the mutual simultaneous experience. Person and environment become one field. For example, yung meditation, music, or humor can be used to produce a positive environment. Here are examples of homeodynamic elements in nurse-patient interaction. Number 1. A patient in acute pain. In example number 1, it shows low level of resonancy because it does not include the environmental field. It just mainly focuses on the patient's feeling. Number 2. Medicating a patient in pain. In example number 2, it shows high level of resonancy because it includes the patient's feelings as well as the given intervention. Furthermore, it also shows synchrony between the person and the environment. Number 3. Alternative treatment modalities such as Reiki, imagery, therapeutic touch. In number 3, it shows helical intervention because such treatment causes huge impact to patient's health. Number 4. Working collaboratively with the patient to address what he or she considers health, such as weight loss program. In example number 4, it shows synchrony because there is patient-nurse interaction. Also, it shows healthy because weight loss program can cause changes to person's health. Number 5. The nurse approaches the patient in a calm manner and the patient responds positively. In example number 5, it shows reciprocity and synchrony because there is interaction and exchange of responses between the patient and the nurse.
Moving on to the Rogers theory and nursing meta-paradigm. Now this is somewhat comparable to the other meta-paradigm from the other theorists like Florence Nightingale, Jean Watson, and Dorothea Orem, which focuses on the four major basic key concepts, which are the person, environment, health, and nursing. The only difference that we can conclude is the belief of the coexistence of the human and the environment has greatly influenced the process of change towards better health. In short, a patient cannot be separated from his or her environment when addressing health and treatment. The first main concept is a person or unitary human beings. I would like to highlight the term irreducible and pandimensional. Well, irreducible rooted from its meaning not able to reduce or simplified. While human being itself is complex, anatomy pa lang ng tao makikita yan and cannot be easily simplified. On the other hand, pandimensional naman, it encompasses infinite dimension because different energy field surrounds a person and person could have a lot of versions. Now, energy field pertains to human energy field and environmental energy field. Those two energy fields are connected to each other and both irreducible and pandimensional. We have the common connotation that a person is a recipient of care. Well, what Mrs. Rogers is talking about is that a person is defined as an irreducible and divisible pandimensional energy field identified by a pattern and manifesting characteristics specific to the whole that can be predicted from knowledge of the parts. A person is also a unified whole, having its own distinct characteristics that can be viewed by looking at, describing, or summarizing the parts. This tells us that we are created unique from other organisms. As our genetic material says, all humans are the same but we have distinct characteristics. Kaya nga pag nag-aaral tayo ng anatomy, di natin siya pinag-aaralan galing sa iba't ibang tao but in general human anatomy. Additionally, it is like a picture of an individual is part of a whole large entity that includes others. Diverting our lens to environment. As we know, this is the era where a person lives. The environmental fields are infinite, and change is continuously innovative, unpredictable, and characterized by increasing diversity. Environmental and human fields are identified by wave patterns, manifesting continuous mutual change, kaya sila nagiging pandimensional and may open system. The environment is an energy field, which includes the entire energy field other than a person, but the person interacts with it. These energy fields are irreducible as well, not limited by space and time, identifies by its pattern and organization. Reverting our attention to the concept of health. This was not clearly defined by Rogers, but from what I can decipher, Roger defines health as an expression of the life processes. It is the characteristics and behavior coming from the mutual, simultaneous interaction of the human and environmental fields. And health and illness are part of the same continuum. The multiple events occurring during the life processes show the extent to which a person is achieving his or her maximum health potential. The events vary in their expressions from greatest health to those conditions that are incompatible with the maintaining life processes, which means bad interaction or misplacing of the energy leads to illness, and the good interaction of energy would suggest good health. The last concept that I'm about to discuss is nursing. Nursing is a learned profession and is both a science and an art. It is an empirical science, and like other sciences, it lies in the phenomenon central to its focus. It constantly maintains the energy field which is conducive to patient. Nursing action directs the interaction of person and environment to maximize health potential. It is the study of unitary, irreducible, and divisible human and environmental fields, people and their world. Furthermore, the nursing theory states that nursing encompasses two dimensions: nursing as an art and nursing as a science. From the science perspective, nursing as an organized body of knowledge specific to nursing and arrived at by scientific research and logical analysis. The art of nursing is the creative use of science to better people, and the creative use of its knowledge is the art of its practice. Roger claims that nursing exists to serve people, and the safe practice of nursing depends on the nature and the amount of scientific nursing knowledge the nurse brings to his or her practice.
Biography of Dorothea E. Orem. Dorothea E. Orem was born in 1914 in Baltimore, Maryland. In the early 1930s, she earned her nursing diploma from the Providence Hospital School of Nursing in Washington, D.C. She went on to complete her Bachelor of Science in Nursing in 1939 and her Master's of Science in Nursing in 1945, both from the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. She was a member of the group of nurse theories who presented patterns of unitary man, the initial framework for nursing diagnosis, to the North American Nursing Diagnosis Association, or NANDA, in 1982. The self-care deficit nursing theory, also known as the Orem model of nursing, was developed by Dorothea Orem between 1959 and 2001. It is considered a grand nursing theory, which means the theory covers a broad scope with general concepts that can be applied to all instances of nursing. The said theory focuses on each individual's ability to perform self-care, defined as the practice of activities that individuals initiate and perform on their own behalf in maintaining life, health, and well-being. The self-care deficit theory of nursing is composed of three interrelated theories. First, the theory of self-care. Second, the self-care deficit theory. And third, the theory of nursing systems, which is further classified into wholly compensatory, partial compensatory, and supportive educative. This theory is particularly used in rehabilitation and primary care, or other settings in which patients are encouraged to be independent. Orem believed that nurses had 5 approaches for helping patients return to independence with self-care. First approach: acting on behalf of and caring for others. Second approach: navigating others through the steps necessary to provide care. Third approach: educating each other to reinforce skill building at all stages of nursing spectrum. Fourth approach: providing an environment that promotes personal independence instead of relying on nursing. Fifth approach: supporting fellow nurses and supporting patients in administering and continuing care needs.
On what assumption is the theory based? Dorothea Orem also includes 6 fundamental assumptions on her self-care deficit theory. Number 1. People are presumed to be self-reliant, responsible for their personal care and that of anyone in their family who may be in need of care. First assumption for her theory is that people are seen to be self-reliant. It only meant that they are the only one that is responsible for their personal care as well as their family members' well-being according to their needs. Number 2. Each person is a distinct individual. Dorothea Orem defined that each person is a distinct individual. Therefore, each person has their own unique characteristics and that each person is different from one another. Number 3. Nursing should be considered a form of action because it is an interaction occurring between 2 or more individuals. Prior to the arising of many theories, nursing is seen as a task-oriented occupation that should be done, wherein nurses were trained by doctors. But the theory of self-care somehow contradicted it, saying that nursing should be considered as a form of action as it is an interaction between the patients and nurses. Number 4. One of the key factors for the prevention and eradication of illness and poor health at the primary care level is to successfully meet developmental and universal self-care requirements. Achieving the developmental and universal self-care requirements is one of the key points to prevent and eliminate illnesses and will also help the health status at the primary care level. Number 5. The knowledge that someone has about his or her potential health issues is necessary element for any self-care behaviors he or she may be able to execute. It is relevant for someone to have a knowledge about her or his possible health issue. It is because this knowledge will serve as his basis for any self-care behaviors that he or she might be able to implement. Number 6. Self-care and dependent care are both learned behaviors within the framework of a socio-cultural element. Dorothea Orem delineates that self-care and dependent care are both learned behaviors that a person can learn within the structure of a socio-cultural element. How can you determine that there is a self-care deficit? In her self-care theory, Dorothea Orem also provided 3 steps for determining whether there was a self-care deficit that needed to be addressed. Although these 3 steps are very similar to the traditional nursing process, these 3 steps are much in detail. Step 1. Data collection. Achieved through assessment of the patient, this step reveals why nursing is needed for the provision of care. Data collection is achieved through assessment of the patient. This process is needed to determine which care plan should be given to the patient. Step 2. Organization. In this step, the nursing care plan is created for outlining which processes are required to bring the patient back to health and maximum independence with self-care. The nursing care plan is created to determine which is the appropriate processes are needed to help the patient back to being healthy and with maximum independence with self-care. Step 3. Assistance. The final step involves putting the care plan steps into action to help the patient develop the ability and skills to enhance their self-care independence. After selecting the appropriate nursing care plan, the selected care plan should be put into action to help or assist the patient develop the ability and skills to nourish their self-care independence.
Next, we will be discussing about Orem's model and the nursing process. So, the approach of Dorothea Orem to the nursing process provides a method to determine the self-care deficits and define the roles of the patient or the nurse to meet the self-care demands. First step is assessment on the patient, like if there is a deficit between the client's self-care abilities. And remember that the nurse may collect data in 6 areas. Second step is planning to set achievable goals or maintain self-care and the planning of interventions. The nurse must design a system that is fully compensatory, partly compensatory, or supportive educative. Third step is implementation, wherein the nursing intervention may be doing for or acting for another, guiding or directing, providing physical support, psychological support, or an environment that supports development, and also teaching another. Last step is evaluation, and it may be in the form of formative or summative. Within the period of implementation and evaluation, the nurse assists the patients or the family with self-care issues to achieve their desired well-being and health-related outcomes, obtaining evidence in order to compare findings to those indicated in the nursing system design, and also the etiology part of the nursing diagnosis direct actions. Now, let's proceed to the 3 categories of self-care requisites. First category is universal self-care requisites, which is associated with daily life processes and needs like water, air, food, and elimination of body waste. Second category is developmental self-care requisites that refers to the provisions of conditions to promote development and engagement in self-development. Example of these are maintaining a safe environment and maintain sense of purpose in life. Third category is health deviation requisites, and this includes to the required in conditions of illness, injury, or disease or may result from medical measures required to diagnose and correct the conditions. Example of these are seeking medical assistance and being aware of the effects and the result of pathological conditions. To further understand this, we have here a case study in order to know the application of this model to a clinical setting. So Mrs. X came to the hospital with complaints of pain over all the joints, stiffness which is more in the morning and reduces by the activities. She has this complaint since 5 years and has taken treatment from the local hospital, and the symptoms were not reducing and came to MC Hospital for further management. The patient was able to do activities of daily living by herself, but the way she performed and the posture she used was making her prone to develop the complications of the disease. She was also malnourished and not having awareness about the deficiencies and effects. The nursing care plan is therapeutic self-care demand, deficient area is food, and the adequacy of self-care agency is inadequate. So the nursing diagnosis in this case is inability to maintain the ideal nutrition related to inadequate intake and knowledge deficit. So the desired outcome in this case is that the patient's nutrition must be improved and maintenance of the balanced diet with adequate iron supplementation. The goal of the nurse is to achieve optimal level of nutrition. And as for the objective, Mrs. X will state the importance of maintaining a balanced diet and list the foods that are rich in iron, which should be available in the locality. So the design of the nursing system in this case is supportive educative because the patient should know the importance of having a balanced diet. And the nurse's method of helping should include guidance, support, teaching, and providing developmental environment. Next is implementation. It should be mutually planned and identify the objectives, and the patients were made to understand the required changes in the behavior to have the requisites met. After the implementation is evaluation. Mrs. X understood the importance of maintaining an optimum nutrition, and she verbalized that she will select the iron-rich diet for her food. She also listed the foods that are rich in iron and that are locally available, and the self-care deficit in terms of food is decreased with the initiation of nutritional intake, and the supportive educative system was useful for Mrs. X.
Everyone, my name is Verwell E. Verdadero, and I will be discussing the Orem's theory and nursing's meta paradigm person. An integrated whole composed of an internal physical, psychological, and social nature with varying degrees of self-care ability. You can see in the PPT that there is a man is unique. Man reflects is symbolizes experiences. Unique uses symbols in communication. Orem's theory and nursing meta-paradigm person, the recipient of nursing care, also referred to as individual patient, multipurpose unit, self-care agent, dependent care agent. The next one is environment. Prevailing internal and external conditions in some time and place frame of reference. Encompassed by two dimensions, environmental and developmental. In environmental, example of that is atmosphere, pollutants, weather conditions, pets, infectious organism, and etc. In developmental, example of that is family and community, gender and age roles, and cultural prescriptions of authority. The next one is about health, a state of physical and mental social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. A state of well-being which refers to a person's perceived condition of existence, characterized by experiences and contentment, pleasure, happiness, and movement toward self-ideals and continuing personalization. In health, it includes promotion and maintenance of health, treatment of disease, and prevention of complication. Also referred to as health state and well-being. The next theory is nursing, an art through which the practitioner of nursing gives specialized assistance to person with disabilities of such a character that greater than ordinary assistance is necessary to meet daily needs for self-care and to intelligent participate in the medical care they are receiving from the physician. The components of nursing is nursing art, the intellectual quality of nurses which allows them to make creative investigations, analysis, and synthesis of variables and conditioning factors in nursing situations. Nursing prudence, the quality that enables the nurse to seek advice in new or difficult situation, to make correct judgments, to decide to act in a particular manner, and or to act. Nursing service, a human service that focuses on a person's inabilities to maintain health care. The last one is nursing agency.
Application of Orem's theory. Field areas and patient details. Name is Mrs. X. Age is 56 years. Sex is female. In education is no formal education. Occupation is household. Marital status is married. Religion is Hindu. Diagnosis is rheumatoid arthritis. Theory applied is Orem's theory of self-care deficit. Areas and priority according to Orem's theory of self-care deficit. First is air, next is water, and then food and elimination. Next is activity or rest. Next is solitude or interaction. and then prevention of hazard, and promotion of normally, and then maintain a developmental environment. Next is prevent or manage developmental threats, then maintenance of health status, and then awareness and management of the disease process, and then adherence to the medical regimen, and then the awareness of potential problem, and modify self-image, and the last is adjust lifestyle to accommodate health status.
It's the part of medical problem and plans, and also the physician's perspective of Mrs. X condition. So Mrs. X is diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and her doctor prescribed the following, which are once a day of T values SR, 40 milligrams of T-PAN, 50 milligrams of T-Tramazak, and twice a day of T-Recovix Forte and T-Shalcal, thrice a day of 2 tablespoons syrup Hemop, and the medical diagnosis for Mrs. X is rheumatoid arthritis. Medical treatment is medication and physical therapy. As discussed earlier in the nursing care plan, the therapeutic self-care demand in the deficient area of Mrs. X is food. And according to the universal self-care requisites, the hemoglobin should be 9.6 gram per cent and the BMI should be equal to 14. And the food intake must not be adequate or the diet is not nutritious. So that's all for our presentation. Thank you for listening.